Got my dad here. Say what's up, Dad.
Hey, how you doing?
I was talking to him and I asked him why did he think it was important for him to say these things publicly that he's saying. So, Dad, why do you think? Why are you saying all this stuff now publicly?
Because it needs to be brought out in the open. You know, the old saying, "What's in the dark needs to be brought in the light," and this is a great opportunity for it to come out in the light.
So, growing up, my dad worked on Capitol Hill, and he used to always come home and talk about what he endured as a black police officer. And so, obviously, when we saw what happened the other day, and we saw how the officers didn't even pull their weapons, how they weren't prepared, he was upset because he knows what it was like being a police officer and dealing with just all sorts of stuff down there as a black officer. And we all know that it would have been different. And so, Dad, anything else you want to say to the people?
I just think they should be outraged at what happened on Capitol Hill, and they should demonstrate that some changes need to be done on Capitol Hill with the members of Congress, the senators, because they had fault just as much as the police board and management. They did not take care of them officers. They left them officers naked. They left them. That it's a blessing that they didn't get hurt as much as they could have, or a member didn't get killed.
Now, Dad said something that's interesting. So, what do you think about everybody talking about that black police officer that ran?
Number one, he never should have been by himself. Never should have been by himself. And my question is, did the commander in charge give them an order that they can go to their weapon if necessary? And to my way it looked to me is they was not sure if they could use their weapon or not, or somebody must have told them to stand down. But if I was there, I think they should have the right to use their weapon to protect themselves. And that officer should never have been by himself.
How do you think, what was it like being a black police officer?
Rough.
On Capitol Hill. Why was it rough?
Rough because we was treated different. Rank system, we was treated different, and they had good officers, and not everybody. There were some good officials, there were some bad officials. But the ones that really made the difference in charge, a lot of them was racial. A lot of them did a lot of things to hurt blacks, and if you speak up, they try to hurt you. If they can hurt the ringleader to make everybody else quiet, that's what they try to do.
Did they try to hurt you when you spoke up?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. I know I was in plain clothes, and I was on an assignment on Mass Avenue at the liquor store at 3rd and Mass. I was undercover. I went to pick up my vet on Thursday. Friday, they told me that I had been, my attitude had changed, and they put me back in uniform for over 30 days.
Okay, hold on. So basically, he bought a brand new car. He was a plainclothes officer. He brought a brand new car. He brought a Corvette. And when he got the Corvette, he got reassigned.
Not only reassigned, they called me in the office and asked me, why did you buy a vet and how can you afford it? That's what happened.
How did you afford it? So we got some questions here. So let's see. They said, let's see what some of the questions are. I'm not going live with anybody else, but let's see what some of the questions are. Let's see. You guys got some questions. Somebody said, do you think that the officer who shot the intruder was only handled this was because he was black? I don't follow that question. Sorry. Let's see. That's why he was an inside. Do you think it was an inside job?
Without a doubt. I think they had help. One way or the other, they had help. Whether they had help for not being prepared, whether they had help for not having assistance with Metropolitan, with Park Police, with the National Guards, for the governor had to call as long as he did to try to get help down to the hill. Something is wrong with that picture.
And who would the order? Are the members of Congress? Do they have to? So in order for them to have help, who has to make that call?
The chief, the police board, even Congresswoman what's her name?
Pelosi.
Pelosi. Even her, she tried to get And it was a stalemate. And that comes from the Trump administration. That's what happened with the military anyway.
Okay, Aja's my sister, y'all. Aja said, Dad, do you think they allowed the black officer to be alone downstairs on purpose because he was black?
Number one, yes. Number two is they had intel. They get intel. They have people that supposed to, let me put it like that, supposed to go down where they had the first demonstration, blend in with them, see how the crowd is, and they should report that back to the details. So they had intel that they was having a hard time. They had intel from outside that people was involved outside. No officer should have been by himself. At least 4 should have been together so they can make a decision. If he had pulled out their gun, they would have probably bum rushed him. But if 4 had pulled out their weapon and started shooting, they might retreat.
And then, Dad, when you say 4 pull out their weapons, what type of weapons? Did they even have the right weapons? On a normal demonstration, would you have a different type of weapon?
Well, no, you still would have your service revolver. But you might have officers with shotguns. You might have officers with automatics. As I say, they didn't even have an outside perimeter. Something is wrong with that picture by itself.
What do you think would have happened if they were black?
Oh, like I say, they wouldn't even got to the gate.
Do you think they would have got arrested? Do you think they would have used force?
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. I'm saying is, for them not to even have an outside perimeter, that means they would have caught them at Constitution Avenue and Louisiana Avenue. That's where they would have first stopped them at. But for them to come all the way up to the plaza, for them to even come up to, if you notice where in the back of the Capitol on the west front, they only had one line of police officers. One line, and you got 1,000 people? That's crazy.
Somebody said, did you see the video where the police officer opened the gate?
Yes.
What did you think about that?
Again, I'm saying some of them, to me, this was a coup. And thank God it didn't go as far as it could went.
Somebody said, this is an obvious question. Somebody said, do you think Trump has something to do with it?
Ain't no doubt in my mind. I don't know about yours.
Okay. Yeah. Somebody said, what do you think should happen with the Capitol Police? What do you think should happen?
I think there should be a big investigation. I think the blood of that officer, it should be on somebody's hand, whether it be the chief, whether it be the commanders who didn't give, that they can use deadly force, whether it be the police board or whether it be some of them Republican congressmen. Somebody should take responsibility of what happened.
Do you feel like the members as well as Kamala and Biden are safe should trust this Capitol Hill Police Department after what happened?
You can't blame the officers. Management.
But if some of the officers were in cahoots or were allowing people in or taking selfies with the officers,
I think
can you trust them?
I think that's a case by case based.
So do you run background check?
Well, not only do you run background check, you also will have a police board, and that police board is of other agency will have to come in there and police and decide whether this officer is guilty or not. You can't have Capitol Police policing their own officials and stuff.
Right. So Capitol Hill Police can't investigate Capitol Hill Police.
They shouldn't.
Okay, cool. Somebody said the heads have resigned. People are asking me to say this. I will. He said investigated by who? He said that. They said, let's take some more questions. Let me see, y'all. I'm going to the questions. Hang on. Give me a second. Question is, how do you think we should be preparing for inauguration? Do you think there should even be an inauguration?
Well, personally,
do you think they're gonna come back? Like, what do you think we should do?
Personally, if it was my children, my sisters, my grandchildren, I would tell them, do not go there. Because of the pandemic by itself, nobody should go down there. They should do virtual. It's a big question. It's a very big question. Is it safe? Because after this past demonstration, who knows? That's my opinion. Who knows?
Do you think that this was like a precursor, like a test?
I think it might be a blessing in disguise, to tell you the truth.
Why?
Because if they did this and it was that easy, no telling what could happen at the inauguration.
But it sounds like they're still trying to do the inauguration.
Well, inauguration is a little bit different.
Okay.
Because you got Secret Service, FBI, you got other jurisdictions in the country, not just metropolitan area, but you got policemen as far as Jersey, maybe New York. You got policemen from all over come. So it's not just our metropolitan area, it's from all over. So it might be safe.
Somebody said, who will reevaluate these officers to determine if they're racist? You even said you thought that Capitol Hill police officers, some were racist. So
it's trust me. It's yes, they are racist. The problem is if they allow that to come on their job, if it interfere with their job.
It has to though. If you racist, you racist.
Yeah.
You racist, you racist. Ain't no way to cut it. If you racist,
that's my job.
You racist. So, but you talk about the Hill. You talk a little bit about what they refer to Capitol Hill as.
Capitol Hill is known as the last plantation. Matter of fact, before I joined Capitol Hill Police, I was in the United States Army. I thought the Army was rough. Matter of fact, I was in Vietnam in 70, 71. I thought that was rough. I thought seeing racism in Vietnam was rough. But when I got on Capitol Hill, that's a whole new ballpark. It's nothing like Capitol Hill. Trust me.
No, you don't think that needs to be disrupted?
I would hope that it's getting better.
So you told a little bit about your vet story, but so that you guys can kind of understand why my dad is speaking up. Tell them really quickly, Dad. After you spoke up and you told the police department that they were racist, what happened?
All hell broke out. Hell broke out. I mean, I went from being one of their good cops to being they try to do me in all the way around, to the point where it didn't bother them to try to ruin my career. They even tried to lock me up to give me a record. They even tried to make me go to jail. So they went beyond of trying to hurt you. So that's why I was saying earlier, when you're on the police department and you try to go somewhere else, they blackball you. You can't get a job nowhere. So they were stuck with me because I had children and I had a wife and I had a family. So I had to feed them. So I had to suck it up. But yet I didn't change who I was.
And you pushed back, and you pushed back when folks did things that weren't supposed to be done.
Hey, now you're gonna respect me
and other people.
Yeah, you're gonna respect what is right. You know, I was brought up by my dad was a preacher, my mom was a preacher, and one thing they told us as children is to be honest. They didn't say it's a price to pay when you be honest. It's a price to pay when you tell the truth. And people don't like the truth. And when you tell the truth, people take it personal or people take it as an attack. When all you saying is what you believe out of your heart, they'll come after you like wolves. And that's what Capitol Police is all about.
But people want to know, why is it called the last plantation? Can you give some examples of why it's referred to as the last plantation?
See, you make me go back, and a lot of people need to go back in history. I can't even think of the congressman from New York. They didn't even want him to eat in the same room with the white congressman, and he pitched hell. And end up, because he stood on his grounds, they eventually allowed him to eat in the same room the white congressman Reed. You need to learn what really happened up on Capitol Hill. And this was in the 70s.
Didn't you say something about like the dog trainers couldn't train out in the public?
This brother named Russell Bell, the first black that was a dog handler, Still letting him walk Capitol Hill. They would send him to Union Station and put him where the trains were, walking up down the track, because they didn't want the people to see him as a black handler on Capitol Police. One woman reported him one time as mistreating animals. They were cruel. But Russell ended up being one of the best handlers Capitol Police ever had. I think Russell had about 3 or 4 dogs. Russell Bell was a hell of a handler.
People want to know the Farrakhan story. So he did it on CNN. You guys got to catch it. But Dad, what happened with Farrakhan? And then talk about what you said, which is why you kept being targeted after it happened.
Yeah, so Farrakhan came up one day before 3 o'clock shift ended. And it was him and 4 other guys. And he had a meeting in the Hart building. Immediately, within 20 minutes, the department, the chief of the department held everybody over until Farrakhan left the hill. They had the SWAT team in the garage of the Hart building. And I was insulted because I went to the captain. His name was Captain Hudak. I went to him the next day and say, hey, Captain, you know, before I was a police officer, I was black. And to me, that was an insult to hold the whole department over because Farrakhan came in. He's not known to start riots or it to be belligerent. I say that was an insult to all the black police officers. He didn't matter. It didn't matter to him.
But that was preparation that they did on the spur of the moment.
Spur of the moment.
As soon as they found out he was there.
And normally, like when they had the Million Man March, the first time, I don't know what happened because I wasn't there. The second time, I worked the second Million Man March. They had roll call at 3 o'clock. They had us on the street at 3:30. And nobody was out there but me, the officer, and the rats.
Somebody said, how does the Capitol Police differ from the Secret Service?
Secret Service is White House and Embassy Police. That's their jurisdiction. Even though when things happen, we all work together. But their assignment or their main goal is to protect the White House, the president, and the vice president, and the embassies in the Washington, D.C. area.
And the Capitol's job is to do what? Capitol Hill Police is to do what?
Protect the Senate and the senators and the congressmen. When the dignitaries come up on the Hill, President of the United States, it's our job to protect them.
All right, cool. They are so scared of black people, yes? That was a question.
That's a good question. Yes, without a doubt.
Why?
That's for me, that's a good question because I think people are it's something about us that intimidates. You know, and if we really get to know each other, we the same.
No.
We almost.
No.
We the same.
Yeah, I get what you said, Dad. I get what you're saying. Somebody said, do you have faith that the management will be held accountable?
If they not held accountable, everybody that is appalled to what happened at the United States Capitol building should demonstrate on Capitol Hill.
Oh, do you have it? All right, let's see. Anything else, Dad?
I'm done.
You done? Let's see. Let me see if there's any other questions. Somebody said, has your dad ever thought about writing a book? We talk to him all the time about writing a book, about doing a documentary. He has so many different stories. I think it would be rich. I think it would be not only rich, but helpful for the current administration, for people in general. Somebody said, how many black and people of color police officers are there? Do you think it's gotten worse or better? The diversity.
I can find that out for you. I have not been down on Capitol Hill. Maybe I rode through there going to the airport, pick up Eunique. I haven't been back on Capitol Hill but twice since I retired 11 years ago.
Why?
I don't know. Number one, I don't know nobody, and it's not a place that I would have fun at.
Okay, and somebody said, what do you think will happen to the Capitol police officers that were taking selfies?
Again, I think some of them might have been apart. I think some of them were scared. I think some of them just were saying, they ain't get hurt. I can't say what I would have done if 1,000 people was around me at one time. You know, I think the members are this is the first time they ever been threatened like that. Mm-hmm. You know, I know half of them, you know, they were glad to see Capitol Police. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So
do you think that the lack of law enforcement was planned?
Yes, without a doubt. I think that because it was a Trump event, because it was the Republicans who were standing against the democracy, I think it was part of the plan.
All right, cool. And then somebody said, who's supposed to screen for racist officers? How does that work?
Best.
So there's no official process.
How do you do that?
Well, what about when they did the background checks before Obama was inaugurated?
That's because, and I shouldn't say this, that's because people put their crap on the media, social media. You know, so, you know, these boys had their pages. So, yes, that's how a lot of them get caught. They put their business on the street.
And they did a surprise background check.
Yes.
Do you think, I think that they should do a thorough review, and I think that a lot of officers should be fired, and I think that they should bring back some seasoned officers who are on the good side to actually do some training, and I think that they need to totally revamp the Capitol Hill Police Department. Do you agree?
I think they need to do, yes, I agree, because number one of it is you see it repeats itself. If it didn't repeat itself, then you know that they're on the road of recovery. But if you see the same thing over and over and over again, I think it's ridiculous. And matter of fact, I heard old staff member called me last night and said that her daughter works down there and a friend worked down there. There was no intercom service or they saying information across the intercom for even the staffers. That's 101. That's lesson 101. You don't leave people in the blind and they scared.
So they had no intercom system.
They didn't put out any info
on the intercom.
I heard it took them almost an hour before they put out any info or lockdown.
Yeah, they said, who appoints the chief of police?
The police board.
And who's the police board?
The sergeant of the House, the sergeant of the Senate, and you can believe the majority leaders have something to do with it also.
Has there ever been a black chief?
Never.
Never been a black chief?
Never.
Were they people that were qualified to be chief?
No. Yes.
Qualified?
Oh, no question. Matter of fact, I came on the department in 1973 of December. I'm almost saying the first black captain was Captain Johnson, and he wasn't promoted to captain until 1975, between 74 and 76, before the first black captain was appointed.
So no black chief of police?
Never.
Are there a lot of captains, black captains?
They got some black captains, but it ain't a whole lot.
Okay.
They got, and then here's the crazy part. When they do have good black officers, they try to get all the dirt on them to get rid of them. When Chief Gaynor, and y'all can check this out, Chief Gaynor, you know how they got rid of him? How they got to where he was fired, or his son-in-law was on the department, and he had been on the department for a minute, and they fired him because he hired somebody in his family. That's how they got rid of him, because the officials, a lot of the top officials didn't like him because he was more correct than any of them.
And that's the truth, Ruth. Listen, shout out to my dad. He's got to do an interview with Now This News. This going to be his last one. He's going to chill, y'all. We love him. He's a solid dude. He raised me and my sister, Aja. Super dope. I'm going to bring him back here when y'all ask for him. But he's got more, not just about the police department. Man, this dude, so solid. his dad is a preacher, but we always talk about how he didn't raise my sister and I from the Bible. He raised us from the book of Butch. And he was just so dope and so like amazing. So I'm glad that y'all are getting to see and hear some of this. Somebody said, what's Gainer's full name? Hey, you got to do your research. But all right, y'all say peace out to my dad. Dad say peace out to the people.
Peace out.
All right, y'all. Thanks y'all so much.